events live. We're just waiting for the progress bar. Meanwhile, if you're just coming in, this event will be recorded, and let us know where you're coming from and what your favorite plant and favorite animal is, and bonus points why. All right. Hello, YouTube buddies. We are live. Feel free to turn on your camera for all of our buddies in our audience. If you want to be on TV, if you don't want to be on TV, put your cameras, you can turn it off. But we're here today with Framer, with Peri and Addison. We're so excited to bring you an interactive design workshop. You learn how to prototype and all these fun stuff. But first, if you don't know who I am, I'm Grace. I founded Design Buddies in April of 2020. And since then, we've kind of evolved into the largest design community in the world. And yeah, so we have many fun events like this and a lot of resources for y'all to level up your design career. And then if you're wondering who this is, it's Fluffle, our mascot / guardian bunny. So Fluffle is everywhere in Design Buddies. So that's who Fluffle is. And then full-time, I'm actually a product designer at Electronic Arts, where I work on a lot of tech products as well. And with that, I'll have by the way, for this event, we'll have a workshop section where you'll learn Framer. It's also web available. You just have to create an account. And so you can open Framer in your browser or you can download it. We have a workshop, and then we'll end with we'll have a group photo after that. And during our group photo, we actually have after that, we'll have a design challenge announcement. We'll be giving away 10 Framer Pros, and we'll be announcing a way to submit. And all the details actually on Discord, which you can join with the link that'll be shared in the chat soon. Everything you'll find about the giveaway and challenge is in the Framer Prototyping Challenge channel on Discord. So feel free to, if you missed any of that, feel free to reference that as well. And then we'll have a Q&A, another Q&A section at the end. For questions about Framer, we'll be answering live as well. So it'll be a workshop, group photo, Q&A, and then questions, and then workshop, and then like giveaway details, and then Q&A, and then goodbye. So yeah, with that, we will hand it over to Peri and Addison. I always say a lot of dad jokes before I start, so buckle up, fasten your seatbelts, because you're about to be blown away. With that, I'll hand it off.
Amazing. And an awesome introduction as well. Thanks everyone for joining us. I think we can give a quick introduction. We're really excited for the workshop today. It's going to be really interactive, so if you want to join us, we hope you do. We'll be sending out some links in just a little bit where you can get your hands dirty, learn how to use Framer with us, and create some interactive designs. Feel free to connect with us as well on the socials. I saw they were just shared in the chat. But yeah, we're really excited, and again, thanks for having us, Design Buddies. Let's go ahead and dive right into it.
Nice. Oh.
Well, also, I do have to give a big shout out to the bunny. I already said it to Grace earlier, but the bunny is like the cutest mascot I've ever seen in my life. So we had to include it throughout this workshop. You'll see it a lot. But yeah, again, we're excited to get started. Maybe we could start with some introductions. Or no, let's give the agenda first.
Well, so we'll introduce ourselves, and then we'll go into our workshop and teach you all the basics about how to use Framer for interactive design and prototyping. And then we'll explain the design challenge, and we have time for Q&A at the end, but also like Grace said, we can answer your questions or try to answer them throughout the workshop if it's like just easy things we can show.
I'll also have my computer open right now as well, and I'll be in the chat. So if you do have questions, feel free to just post them in there, and I can do my best to get to them as we're going live.
Yes.
So my name's Addison. I'm a product specialist at Framer. So my main role is to, make sure that anyone who's interested in using Framer understands how to use it, get the full potential out of it, and maybe learn something new about designing interfaces in the tool. And I'm joined by my friend, Peri.
I'm Peri, and I'm in charge of product marketing at Framer, as well as UX writing, copywriting, stuff like that.
We thought it was also amazing to join this because we're also buddies in real life. We also design a lot of things, so it was just appropriate that Design Buddies comes to life.
Yes.
So what is Framer? If you are new to the tool, if you haven't heard about us before, Framer is an all-in-one tool for designing, prototyping, and building interactive experiences for the web. You can also build it for mobile. You can build it for non-traditional devices like TVs and games and stuff like that. But we give you a collaborative tool where you can work with the rest of your team in real time and design things from scratch and make sure they're interactive. So we always have a motto that we say here in the office is a button is great, or excuse me, a picture is great for postcards, but buttons were meant to be clicked. And you'll start to see that as we go through this workshop, that we believe all the designs you create should be interactive by default, because nowadays we're designing things for computers and phones, and they have things like audio, video, haptics, a lot of feedback that doesn't go into the initial design process. And we want to make sure that, you know, from the very start, you're able to include those things in the design, in design thinking.
Yes. So time for Framer 101.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. So
let's get the the link in the chat. We have a file that we'll ask everybody to open up. I'll also post it in the chat. You might have to sign up for Framer if you are new and haven't used it before.
Yeah, we can give like 2 minutes.
But we'll give a little bit of time for you to just sign up quickly. But let me go ahead and find that real quick, and I'll post it as well.
Can also post it.
Oh, yep. Nabil shared the link as well. So
that's not the duplicating one though. So everyone will go into the same file.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You should post the duplicating one. Maybe I can do it.
I'll find it.
Also found it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so if you open this link that has the word duplicate in the link, then it will give everyone who clicks it their own individual file. Yeah, I think it's just easier than everyone going into one file, because that's a lot of cursors in one file.
If you do have any issues logging in, creating an account, yeah, let us know. We'll obviously be happy to help.
Yes.
Yeah, it is just like Adobe XD or Figma, Sketch, yeah, design tools. I just posted the link to sign up and also get the project as well. If you click that link, you should have everything.
Yeah. Nice.
Awesome.
So yeah, Framer is similar to other design tools, but we'll show you what's unique about it and why you might want to use Framer in your workflow, especially when dealing with like interactions, micro interactions, animations, transitions. That's what Framer really specializes in.
So you can't export it to Xcode explicitly, but the cool part about Framer is, again, that the things that you create are actually real. They're interactive. So you can just use the stuff that you create in Framer without even having to export it to other tools. You can just go ahead and open it up on a native device using one of our apps, or even just publish it to like a website or something.
Yeah, and if you're interested in code, or you're a developer or technical designer, you can actually code right inside of Framer as well. There's a built-in code editor if you like to experiment with code as well as design visually at the same time.
We'll give like another 1 minute for everybody to open up the link. I'll post it one more time, just in case you missed it. Join us in this project. This is going to duplicate it into your own account. You, again, will have to sign up at first, but go ahead and do that quick and we'll be good to go.
Good. Okay.
So by default, you'll be brought into our free tier. You can work with up to 2 editors on your team. As we mentioned, this is a fully collaborative tool. So you'll see in the upper right here that Peri and I are actually in the same tool. at the same time. I have it open on my machine, but if you want to work with more than 2 people on your team, you will need a pro account. You will need to sign up for an account in order to join us. Account is free, yes.
Yeah.
And it is a limit of 3 projects as well on the free plan, but you can archive old ones if you want to keep working on it. Okay, I think we should go ahead and get started. Again, we're going to take you through A to Z at creating interactive designs. You'll see over on the left-hand side, we will get to the design challenge and show you an example of some of the things that we will ask for the design challenge. But before we get started and dive in, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that you can create in Framer. So again, by default, the things that you create are interactive. So you can have scrollable content. You can have real things like inputs. So I can type, oops, hello. Bunnies are cool, and they're definitely really cool. But this is a real working input. And besides real working inputs, you can use a lot of different things like segments and controls, sliders, videos, GIFs, Lottie animations, a whole ton of stuff that you can't necessarily do in a lot of other tools. And again, we're gonna cover all this stuff in the workshop today, so don't worry too much. You also have you'll also have the ability to add transitions and interactions. So if I click the menu button in the lower left, we can have like an overlay appear. But you can also design custom animations and interactions. So for example, if I want to tap on this card and have it animate into the next view, we can design the experience, we can change and tweak the animations, all without using any code at all. Some examples of like real toggles and things like modals and ways to essentially navigate your prototype, all without any code. Again, we're going to go through this from A to Z, teach you all you need to know. But before we do that, I just want to give everyone a quick lay of the land so everyone knows where everything is, because that's going to be important as we go through the rest of the workshop. So starting from the very beginning, in the middle, we have our canvas. And if you've used other design tools, this should be pretty familiar. This is where all the work that you're going to be designing or creating things are going to go. On the left-hand side, we have our assets, layers, and pages panel. So they are collapsible. You can go ahead and change it for whatever view that you're looking for. The assets panel is going to contain any components that you have included in this project, anything that you've copied and pasted from other projects as well, because components and assets are linked across different projects. The layers panel, pretty self-explanatory. Any layer that we have nested here in our canvas is going to be found here. You can rename them, etc. You can also split your work up across different pages. We have done that, and we're going to go through all of these throughout the rest of the workshop, so we'll touch on this a little bit more. In the top, you have your toolbar. So we have all the tools that we're going to cover throughout the workshop as well. But also in the upper left, you have your collaboration settings. So basically, if you want to invite anyone else to your team, you can go ahead and click it and invite anyone else. You can also change any of the settings. And on the very far right, we have the properties panel. So anything that you have selected, you'll see the properties, styles, layout, positions, all that stuff for the selected thing. Any other options as well, you'll find in the menu in the upper left. But I think we are ready to get started. Again, if there's any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. We'll get to them. And I think we're going to go ahead and dive in and check out some of the tools. I think you want to take the first one?
Yeah, I'll take the first one. Okay, so starting off, the most basic tool we have, how you're going to start all your projects, is with the screen tool. So screens are basically artboards. They're the device size that you're going to be designing for. So to use the screen tool, you can press screen up here. You can either draw out your screen size that you want, or there's a bunch of defaults over here, like a bunch of phones, tablets, desktops, to just help you start your projects. You'll also see, once I have the screen tool selected, if I already have one drawn on the canvas, there's 2 silhouettes also on the canvas. So this just kind of gives you a shortcut for adding another screen because you're probably going to be selecting the same size again. You can just click one of those silhouettes and the screen will just appear on the canvas. Something else cool about screens is when you preview them. So in Framer, to preview your designs, you can click the plus sign or the play icon right here when you have something selected. And with screens, when they're a specific default size, they're going to show up with the actual like phone or tablets device. And you can change how these look here. So right now I have the realistic phone selected. I can change the color of it. So just to make your designs really pop in the preview. You can also go to a clay device, and these are just like a bit more simple, or you can say to have none if you want, but I like the realistic, just looks cool, I think. Then we can exit out of here and keep designing.
We're going to give everyone a few minutes to play around with these tools and explore. One of the other cool things about the preview is all the different settings as well. So as I mentioned, we have a mobile app for both iOS and Android. So if you download this, you can preview your designs natively on one of those devices. But we also have a bunch of preview settings as well. So you can change the orientation, add extra fidelity with like hands or backgrounds, which you can also upload images. And even a few other things like hiding the interface, responsive designs, touch cursors. And when you're also ready, you can fully embed these anywhere you want. So support Dropbox Paper, Notion, Jira, a bunch of other tools as well, where you can interact with your prototype right in the other tools, or embed it in your own website if you want. So again, we're going to give everyone like 2 to 3 minutes. It's a pretty basic tool, but it's really fun to see how you can change the view. So go ahead and add a few devices, add a few screens, and let us know if you have any questions about it before we move on.
What is that?
I don't know.
Let me turn off the drawing settings.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We know that you like these screens a lot, but unfortunately, turn the settings off.
Okay, I think we can go to the next. Screens is pretty
cool. So we're going to move on. Again, if you're following along, make sure you expand the Pages tab over on the left-hand side. You can click through all of the different tools that we're going to cover today. But the next one we're going to go to is the Frame tool. And the Frame tool in Framer is going to be your #1 tool while you're designing. So in a lot of other tools, and this is one of the main differences, you have tools for things like rectangles, and you also have one for square, maybe circles, ovals. You'll use the Frame tool for pretty much everything. So essentially, you can select it up here in the toolbar. You can also press the hotkey F. And after the tool is selected, you can draw whatever you want. You'll find all of the properties over here on the right. So you can change things like opacity, radius. If you need a circle, well, you can make a square first, then change the radius to something that makes it a circle. Add things like borders, shadows. And if you are also looking for additional styles, you can do so in the little plus icon underneath the styles. Now, frames are also really, really cool because they're more than just drawing for rectangles or colored objects. If you head over to the fill property, you can change the fill to something like a linear gradient, a radial gradient, or upload images. And the awesome part about frames as well is we have a Unsplash integration. So if you're looking for something like an avatar, well, you can go ahead and search one and pull it directly into your project right from Unsplash. You can search for anything you want. A few other workflow tips, just to save you some time. If you do have a folder of images on your computer somewhere, you can also just drag them, drop them right into the canvas. They'll be uploaded as a frame. And yeah, basically you'll be good to go from there. We do have a few other tools that I want to cover in this section, but I think to get started, if everyone wants to, if you're following along, take the frame tool. Maybe we can add some extra frames to the main timeline screen that we see here. Again, you can select the tool, draw out how big you want it, give it maybe some styles like a radius, and add an image. We'll give everyone like 2 to 3 minutes to add something in for these 3 spots. Also follow along.
I can answer some questions. Do you recommend using the desktop app or is the functionality equivalent? They're the same thing. So if you want to download the desktop version of the app, which is available for Mac or Windows, you'll have the exact same features available in both. Do you have the option to add voice to the prototype?
There are some packages, I think, that allow you to use voice controls I've seen as well.
Or if you just want to add like, just kind of prototype what it would sound like if, your smart home app or something was talking to you, you could also just use the audio component and give it an MP4.
Yeah, you can definitely use
audio
sounds in your prototypes. We're actually going to cover that in just a little bit, so hang tight.
To open Unsplash in Framer again, like Addison's doing right now, you just have the frame selected and go to Image. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see Unsplash. You can search or just choose random photo if you just need to populate like some dummy data.
We also have an eyedropper tool. So if you are on a color selector, you can click this thing. You do need something called Framer Tools installed. But if you click this and you don't have it installed, it will ask you to, so you can find it. There is development mode as well. It's hidden by default. We're not going to cover code in this session at all. We're going to do everything no code. But if you do want to, you can head to the menu, head to code, and you can show these options as well. You can fully code React and JavaScript in Framer to add extra functionality. But there's a ton of tools that you can do no code prototyping and designing. And that, again, we're gonna cover that.
Yeah.
We do also have auto layout, which we'll cover today too. Okay, so now everyone should have added some frames, which is really, really awesome. But another really cool thing that we can add is text. And obviously that's in most tools, but there's some cool features that our text tool allows you to do as well. So pretty self-explanatory. If you want to add some text, you'll select the text tool up here at the top. You can click and basically, start typing. So we can type something like Peri. We have all the different options to style the text over here on the right. But what's also really, really cool is you have a font selector that lets you choose between any of our pre-installed fonts, anything from Google Fonts, but also custom as well. So if you are a part of a team, you can upload your fonts that will be accessible across all the projects in that team. So for instance, GT Wallshine Bold is something we have in our Framer team. This is probably going to be empty for you if you haven't used Framer before, but don't worry. You can safely find one from Google Fonts and use that throughout your projects. So if everyone wants to go ahead and also add just a little bit of text across their project as well, that will be great.
Also, a question I should answer. Someone asked about this achievements thing. I forgot to turn it off. So right now you're getting a sneak peek of a Framer feature that isn't released yet. But basically we're about to release this achievements panel where you can, earn badges as you are learning Framer.
Yeah, so you guys are seeing some behind
the scenes
stuff.
Hope I don't get in trouble. Forgot to turn that off.
We also do have keyboard shortcuts. If you're looking for them, you can find them in the menu, under the help menu, under keyboard shortcuts, and you can find everything. But cool, the text tool shouldn't be too hard for everyone to grasp. But the last thing that I want to cover in this section is shapes that aren't necessarily frames, because obviously, if you're trying to design something that isn't a rectangle or a circle, you're going to need a little bit more fine control. We do have vector tools in Framer, and you'll find them in the insert menu. We're going to cover this tool a lot more throughout the rest of the demo. But if you are looking for it, you can head to the insert menu, head to graphics, and you'll find solid line and custom shapes that you can add into your project. If you want a custom shape, for instance, if we want to draw like a triangle or something, you can insert the custom graphic. And if we double click it, we'll be brought into graphics mode. So basically you'll find any of your vector drawing tools up here at the top, path, rectangle, ovals, etc. And up in the upper right, we'll have extra tools for working on stroke, but also working on any of the Boolean operators like masking, cutting, etc. So we can also double click a little bit more, move the path around, and there you go. But for the most part, you'll only use the graphic tool for icons and stuff like that. And the frame tool should be able to get you everything else that you'll need. To get to shapes again, you'll find that in the insert menu under graphics, You can also just press the hotkey G. And if you press G, you'll be brought into graphics mode. So you'll see some new tools up here at the top. We'll give everyone just a few minutes to play around with it, just to see how that works. You can definitely use the vector tools for illustrations, icons, and all that stuff. So if you want to edit any frames or images, make sure you just draw a frame. You can select the frame tool at the top, select the fill property, and you'll change it to image. Unsplash is going to be located under the fill property for a frame, image, and unsplash. What's also really cool about Framer as you're continuing to design is Framer automatically will nest the items that you have in your layers panel as well. So we just save you a lot of time when you're trying to design something. So for instance, if I have a frame or a screen and I have another frame, let me just color this like red, and I drag it into the larger frame, you'll see that Framer will automatically nest these for you. So you don't even have to think or worry about things like groups. You can obviously do that manually if you want, but Framer will just do that for you. So you have everything nested for the most part how you need it. And if you don't, you can obviously drag it in or out and you'll be good to go. So John, if you want to mask it, you can just actually nest it inside. So if you want it inside the gray frame, you can just find it and nest it inside and make sure the overflow is set to hide. But I think that should be pretty good. Again, if you have more questions, post them in here. We can also try to answer them in Q&A. Yeah. But let's make sure we can hit some of the other tools as well.
Yes. Okay. Moving on from frames to the next page, which we have scroll. So in Framer, we try to design for and create something as realistic as possible. So we design for the actual device dimensions, the actual viewport, instead of having really long pieces of content that in real life wouldn't actually fit into any device size because it's super long. So in order to do that, we have something called the scroll tool, which lets you connect to your content that's either longer or wider than the viewport. So the scroll tool is up here, and to use it, you just select it and then draw out the area that you want to be scrollable. And once you have this area drawn out, you can just connect it to your content that's longer or wider. So in this case, we have our mobile design, and with the scroll tool, we're also able to do stuff like leave out a sticky header so that that header will stay put when you scroll. I can give you an example of how that will look. So once you have the scroll area selected, you'll get this little noodle guy, and you just connect the noodle to your content and it will automatically populate. And then if I preview this, yeah, I have a scroll, and you can set it so that you can use your 2 fingers on your trackpad to scroll or click and drag to scroll. And you'll see it natively gives this like little bounce just as you would have in a real mobile app or website. And if you want to do something like a horizontal scroll, you can do that as well. You'll see with this scroll area selected, I have all these different properties. So you can turn on and off that bounce, and you can also select the direction. So this is a vertical scroll, but you could also do horizontal or multi-directional, which is like useful for maps and anything where you have to pan around. And then you can also do other stuff like I mentioned, the drag, working with 2 fingers, or just clicking and dragging, over drag, wheel, reset, and you can select the content from here as well. Anything I'm missing?
That's pretty much it. I would definitely check out the scroll tool. Again, we have a bunch of tutorials on our YouTube channel, Framer, but also on right from the dashboard from framer.com/learn. Yeah, check it out. We're going to cover a lot of the basics, but if you really want to do some advanced things like sticky scrolling, scroll animations, you can do all of that stuff in Framer.
Yeah.
Really easily and without any code. So definitely urge everyone to check out some of our learning materials afterwards to see how it's done.
Just watch this little video later. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, and Adrian also asked a really good question. Yeah, you can definitely just draw things on top of the scroll container. So for instance, I can select the frame tool, maybe draw a little button down here. Give it like a little radius. Let me insert like the shape. I'll do like a little plus icon. We'll make it just a little bit smaller. We're also going to color it white. And now we have a floating action button, which is super cool. So
nice.
You can do all this stuff really, really easily. We also have videos and a bunch of other stuff. We're going to get to all that stuff. So yeah, hang tight. But we'll give everyone just another minute or two. Feel free to hook up the scroll content as Peri just did. And make sure you preview and interact with it. It's super fun to see how everything works.
Nice. Cool.
Joanna's asking about exporting a screen. Exporting is only available from our desktop app.
Oh, yeah.
You can download our desktop app at framer.com/downloads. And all of your projects are synced across our desktop and the web. So if you do need to export something, just download it. You can open up the same project you're working on and export it from there.
Yeah, I misspoke actually. That is the one difference of desktop version.
Cool.
Okay, next one.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one, the page tool. This one's really, really cool also. We'll be doing everything from scratch. Yes, we're gonna design everything from scratch. But we're gonna cover the next tool. Again, if you're following along, make sure you head to the section called Page over here on the left. The Page tool is also a very interactive tool. It's pretty similar to the Scroll tool, except it has a slightly different purpose. So the Scroll tool is going to be really good for, as Peri mentioned, scrollable content, horizontal, vertical, but also multi-directional. But the Page tool is going to lock to a specific thing that you have selected. So if you take a look at it, you can connect it to more than just one item here, but it works the same way, whereas you select the Page tool in the top toolbar, and all you have to do is draw out the area that you want to interact with. The Page tool, though, is really good for carousels or swipeable content. So not stuff that you continuously scroll, but swipe to different items. So you can already start to think about things like a mobile home screen or like a carousel of images or cards or videos. The Page tool is going to be really, really good for that. What's also really cool, and we have part of this set up already, is you can nest page or scroll inside of itself. So you can go ahead and see that we have the scroll container from the last step already in here. And inside of this, we are going to add some more page content over here on the right. And it's just as easy as clicking a few times. So we're going to add the first card. We'll add the second card, the third, and the fourth. And if you have the Page tool selected, you'll see in the right-hand properties, there's a lot of properties that we can go ahead and change. So the direction, if we want it to lock, width, height, the gap between the different cards, so we can like space them out a little bit more. But let me put that back to, I think, 6 or 8. The current page that's selected, so we can go ahead and cycle through them for a starting point. Momentum, so if we drag and let go, it will continue swiping. But you can also change the effect, and there's some really, really cool effects on here. So make sure you check them out and play around with them. I really like the cube, but I'm going to show how the wheel looks. And with that selected, if I then preview the main timeline page, you'll see that we can go ahead and swipe through our content. And we can still scroll up and down. So again, if you need things like cards that will shift left and right vertically, you can go ahead and use this. And there's a lot of really cool use cases for it as well. So things like a thermometer, if you want to drag up and down, if you want to do like a native iOS time date picker where you swipe and slide through all of the different indexes, this would be the perfect tool to use for that. But we'll give everyone like 2-3 minutes. Go ahead and make sure you can hook that up. And yeah, make sure, again, you preview everything that you're making, because everything's going to be really interactive by the end of this session.
Yes. Nice.
Also, make sure you check out the different effects on here. We can
Yeah.
preview them for anyone who's not necessarily following along.
Yeah, do cube.
Cube is really cool. Let's also do the width to stretch. So the cube is like really, really cool.
Nice.
You can definitely preview your designs on your physical phone. Again, we have an iOS and Android app, and you can scan this mobile QR code to open it up. But if you don't have it installed, you can also just view it on your native mobile browser. So Safari or Google Chrome, whatever that is, it'll just open it up there. You'll find the effects if you have the page selected over here on the right under Effect. Yeah, we can reshare that. No problem. 1 second.
Oh, someone just shared it.
Oh, Tuan, thanks. We also have, so there's also a few shortcuts you can use. You can preview your work by clicking this play icon, the one in the upper right, or Command P or Control P on Windows. That will also open up the preview. Oh yeah, that's also a really cool thing to mention as well. In the preview, you can actually user test right from the app. So you can click user testing up here. We have usertesting.com, user Zoom, look back, and user brain integration. So you can very easily just build something and test it with users right away. But I think we should move on. Keep going with some of the other tools.
Cool. Okay, next tool, my favorite tool, I think, is the insert menu. So basically, the insert menu is your home to find anything, any component that you want to use in your designs, or even anything that you're too lazy to design yourself. You can probably find a version of it in the insert menu. So we can start out with some more basic things. So basic interface components. Start out with an input. So we have this input component, and like Addison showed in the first preview, this component is fully interactive as soon as you drag it onto the canvas. So we can already type in it, and it's just a real working input as you would have in any website. And there's a lot of cool properties that come along with this component as well. So over here you can see there's like 20 different properties that you can fully customize it and make it match any design style that you're going for. I won't go through all of them, but basically just customizing the text, the look of the input. You can also change the focus state. So when you first click into the input, the placeholder text, all the line height padding of the actual text itself. Something else really cool is you can say if it's a password input or not. So right now it's selected no. So as you saw when I previewed, it's just, I'm just typing text into the input. But if I say password yes, and then preview, and then type in here, it will appear as if I'm typing a password, which is really cool for designing like login and sign up type screens. That's input, and that's just one component. Let's see what else we have. Another cool thing in our audio, we have an avatar component. So there's a few different ways to make avatars. Of course, you can drag your own images, but you can also use this component. It's just super easy if you're doing like a quick and dirty design and you just need something fast. You have this avatar, and you can say random. So it will just generate like a random face for you. Or you can also say custom, and this will give you the opportunity to say like person's name, initials. You can change background color, upload an image, all that good stuff. It just makes it really easy. Probably in your design career, you'll probably have to use avatars, and this just makes it more fast. What else? We have time.
Oh, this is a really cool one.
Yeah, this one's fun. Where to go? So the time and date component, really handy for doing these kind of mobile mockups where you usually have in your phone like the time and date, and you have your battery levels over here and Wi-Fi. But it's really cool because it's actually real. It's displaying the real time. So for me in Addison right now, it's 6:14, and it is displaying the actual time. So whatever time zone you're in, whatever time you're in, if you use this component, as soon as you put it on the canvas, it will display the real time.
What's really cool is when you do this throughout user testing, yeah, wherever you go ahead and your user is previewing it, it will be the time of their time. So it's gonna adapt to whoever's viewing. Whoever's viewing the prototype.
Yeah, it just makes it really personalized, especially for user testing. Even makes it appear more as a real app or website. And you can also switch this from time to dates. So if you have dates, it will also give you the exact date as well. You can change how that appears. Yeah, just very, very custom. And last one I want to insert here before we show off some more cool ones is our icon sets. So we have 5 different icon sets that you can insert and have access to the full icon library. So we have feather icons, hero from Tailwind, icon noir, material, and phosphor. I'll do material. So we can just insert this. Where'd it go?
It's up at the top.
There it is. And once I insert this, you'll see on the right hand side, you can choose any icon from the full library. So you can either search through this, or if you happen to know their the actual name of the icon, you can. What is that?
I don't know what that is.
You can search for any icon like this, and it's much easier than having to go through the icon library, download them, drag and drop onto the canvas. It's just all right there waiting for you. And then of course you can change the style and color. If the icon library provides you with different styles, you have access to these as well.
Something really cool about the insert menu as well. We didn't necessarily touch on this just yet, but in the menu in the upper left, if you go to File, you can actually import your work from Sketch or Figma. So if you are working in, say, like a Figma file and you import it into Framer, any of the frames or anything you have selected, you can actually right-click and replace with from the insert menu. So for instance, if I want to replace my static inputs in Figma with something that works, well, you can just right-click it, select input, and it's going to input it in for you. So again, you can find everything that you need here. The other thing that I thought was pretty cool too was under the media components, make sure you check out the audio or even the video component as well. You can upload your own audio and video, and you'll actually hear this playing in the preview. Yeah, that's pretty cool because you can't really get that in any other design tools that I've seen. And now you can add things like dings or like, pinging notification sounds. So if your user taps on something, it will maybe, give a little feedback or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think there's like a lot of components in this section to cover. So we'll give like 5 minutes, maybe. Make sure you insert some things, preview them, see how they work, customize them a little bit. But let us know let us know if you have any questions, and we'll get to them. We don't have a way to see the icons when searching, but it is something that I think we are planning on building in the future. I also too play with Framer on Sunday.
Eyedropper tool, yes. If you have a frame and you want to fill it with color, you can just go to the fill, so just on the right hand side in the properties, and you'll see the little eyedropper here. Oh, I don't have my Framer tools installed. No, I don't feel like doing that. It will make you install something called Framer Tools, but once you install that, then yes, you can use the eyedropper.
You can press Command Z to undo. You can add haptic feedback or vibrations through code. You'll need a code component for it. It's not native in the app, but if you create a component for it, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
If you take a look online, you can, we do have a lot of examples across the internet. So I think if you search for it, you should find, or get on the right path at least.
Yeah.
You can also use the input to collect user data, submit forms, search through things, filter things. The thing is that does require a little bit of code, but we do have a lot of tutorials on doing that. So again, if you just search real inputs data from Framer, you should find a lot of tutorials and stuff like that.
Yeah. And if you're a developer yourself and not afraid of experimenting with code, you can also check out Framer for Developers, which is a new platform we just launched with a bunch of code resources if you're interested to try in Framer.
Stack is actually a pretty interesting one. We can show that off because I saw that question also before. A stack will let you basically do auto layout. So if you are interested in doing auto layouts, you'll first need a frame, so the frame tool. So let's just go ahead and draw something like this. And if you enable the stack property, it's going to tell you to drop some items inside. So let's go ahead and draw a few more frames, or actually instead, let's insert some icons. We can go ahead and add like a hero icon, and we can drop this inside of the stack. Now you'll notice that we can't position the icon anywhere because the position is going to be determined by the stack itself. So we can say, well, we want this to be positioned at the start, the end, or the center. And depending on how many items are inside, you'll also be able to choose like the gap, positioning, etc. And what's really cool is it's super interactive. So if you drag it around, you'll also be able to change the position and make sure everything is done. And yes, this is actually just using CSS Flexbox underneath the hood. That's all it's really doing. But the stack and auto layout go hand in hand as well. So if you are looking to create auto layouts or auto sizing components, let me just change this to like something like this. I'll also change the color.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know.
No worries. Make it a little bit bigger. And again, it's in a stack, so it's in the middle. But if you enable a stack property, you'll also see the auto size button up here. And this is basically going to auto size the outer container to whatever's on the inside. And if you want it to be a little bit bigger, you'll have to use the padding to set that. So we can say, okay, well, I always want 20 pixels on the top, 20 pixels on the bottom, and let's do 50 on the right and 50 on the left. Now, no matter what text is inside, so I can say short or text, you'll see that the button goes is basically growing along with this. You can also use the UI to change this stuff as well. But auto layout's super fun. Default components and the insert menu is also super fun. So yeah, check it out. We'll give another like 2 minutes to play around with this stuff and do it yourself. That's correct. The other cool part about Framer is whenever you create things in Framer, you're actually making it the real way. So there's actually zero handoff or a lot less handoff when you're working with developers because the things and the properties you design in Framer are the same that a developer would use. And there's a lot less lost in translation.
Yeah.
And again, the way that you design is a lot closer to the way that things are being built in production at the end of the day.
Someone asked about adding GIFs. I can definitely show that. So in the insert menu, if you go to media, you'll have all these media components and GIF is one of them. You
can also just drag GIFs right into Framer and they'll upload as well. So if you have someone downloaded or something, you can just go ahead and paste them in.
Yeah, and then you can search through the whole Giphy library. So if I search bunny, then we get bunny. We can say if we want to shuffle it every time. Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions about the insert menu, icon sets? Cool. I think we could move on to the next section.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
We're going to ask you to use the insert menu also for the design challenge later. So again, you'll have plenty of time to explore it. But feel free to yeah, continue using it for the rest of this. So the next thing that we're going to explore are something called smart components. And all that necessarily means is a component in Framer, something that you can share with the rest of your team. You can share it across different projects, but just basically making something that's reusable for yourself or for the rest of your team. Any smart component you create can also be added to your team's library. So if you are building a design system, you can go ahead and create a smart component for it. And the cool thing about smart components is that they're interactive by default, which means they're not just a picture of how something should look. You can use all of the insert menu components, so inputs, videos, audio, inside of your components to make them really, really interactive. We're going to give a quick demo of how this works, and you can basically go ahead and then try it for yourself. So the first component we're going to make is from a selection. So let me just open up the layers panel here. And if you have this photo or this frame selected, in order to create a smart component, all you need to do is click the components button up here in the toolbar. Now, if you go ahead and do this, it's going to ask you to, well, create a component and give it a name. I'm just going to call it card for now. Now, whenever you create a new smart component, you'll be brought into an isolated canvas. So you'll see that the normal designs that we had is you can't see them anymore. And you'll notice some extra UI that lets us go ahead and edit this further. You'll also notice that it's now tinted purple instead of blue. So that's another indication that you're in smart component isolation. You can always go back to the main page by clicking, well, smart components up here in the top left-hand corner, or you can double click anywhere on the gray canvas to hop back and forth. And once it's a smart component, you can always double click on it anywhere to hop back into the isolation canvas. Now, the cool part about this is you can go ahead and create different variants, but you can also add things like different interactions. So for instance, with the first component that I created, we can add either a hover or pressed gesture. All you got to do is click, choose whatever one you want. I'm going to go ahead and add a hover state. And we can change anything we want. We can change colors, position, sizing, images, video. We can change anything inside of here. And Framer's going to automatically animate these things between the two. So for instance, this image that I have, it's just called frame. If you look in the layers panel, I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. What I also want to do is hide the overflow on the original one. Let's also make this like this. And you'll notice then, as I preview this component and I hover it, you'll notice that the sizing gets a little bit bigger. But again, you can change everything inside of here. So we could also change maybe the color of the text. Maybe we make this a little bit lighter. Also with the avatar, maybe we give it a little bit something like that. And as we hover it, you'll notice that Framer will automatically animate everything. Super easy, no code required. What's also really, really cool is if you want to go ahead and play around with this a little bit more, you can go ahead and also change the animation underneath this transition here. So you can basically select this. We have a fully working transition editor that lets you animate the way that this thing will animate. So we can change this up to like 1 second. We can make this something a little bit more drastic, like a back in and out. And now as we preview this, you'll notice that it will change just a little bit differently. Any of the components as well, you can add to your team's library. You'll see it in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see add to library, and that will add it to the insert menu underneath your library's components. Just so you kind of know where to find them. If you do add them, you can get back to them a little bit later. But we'll give everyone just a few minutes to create some interactive components. We can also maybe create another one like a button or something like a toggle, which would also be pretty cool. But if everybody wants to turn it into a component first and play around with it, try to interact with it and see how that goes. in the upper left-hand corner, if you're in the isolation, you can see the name of the page you're on. You can click that to hop back and forth. You can also double click on the gray canvas anywhere, and you'll also hop back and forth between the two.
Yeah, and then double click on the component to get back into isolation.
We're going to also show you some other cool components that you create, because like I said, you can use any of the ones from the insert menu. You can maybe add a, you can add a toggle, for instance. If we go here, insert, and we can change the properties, the way that it works this way. But we could also go ahead and create our own. And you can do it from scratch. So if I don't have anything selected, I can create a new one and say toggle. And we can resize this just a little bit. So we'll make this like 50, let's say, by 130. I'm going to give it a little bit of a radius. And I'm going to take the frame tool again. We're going to draw the little knob, also give it a radius like this. Probably make it a little bit shorter. And let's position it and color it a little bit different. But instead of doing a hover or press gesture, we can go ahead and create a new variant and basically just move it over to the side. And in this one, we'll make the knob white, and we'll make this at FB0. And now all you need to do is basically take the interaction connector, the little lightning bolt, and we can go ahead and go to the next variant. You can choose whatever trigger you want, so tap, tap start, or even appear if you want to do like repeating or delayed animations. But for us, just the tap is fine. And then when we're in the second variant, we just want to go back on the same one. So we'll just connect them back and forth. And now if we go ahead and insert that component, you'll also find it inside of the assets panel under whatever you called it underneath a project folder. And we preview this and we select it, you'll see that Framer will automatically animate everything between the two. Feel free to give that a shot. Try it out, create your own components. It's as easy as just drawing out exactly how you want it and play around with the animations as well. What's also really cool is you can create some pretty cool micro interactions with this stuff as well. So something that I think is pretty cool is if we go to like a press state and maybe we make this just a little bit wider. And maybe for this one as well, we do a press state and we make this one a little bit wider. Well, as we preview this, you can also just preview in isolation. You can make a kind of gooey toggle, which is I think is pretty fun to
looks
play
like
around
an
with.
egg.
Yeah, it does look like an egg. You can do this again super easily. Play around with it. Play around with the triggers. I'll also mention, we can paste this a little bit later, but on our YouTube, on Framer's YouTube, I've done streaming a few weeks in a row, and I've built an entire design system of pretty much any component that you need to you would need. So you can see me build from scratch a bunch of different components and learn how to do it yourself. The animations are definitely dev friendly as well. So we do have Framer Motion, which is our production ready animation library for React. So if you are a developer and you're interested in using Framer Motion, you can do so. It's completely free and open source. And all of the animations that you create in Framer are 100% handoff. Well, you can hand it off to any developer who's using Framer Motion. The channel that I mentioned was YouTube. So you can just search for Framer. And if you pull that up, you should be able to find our YouTube channel. The cool part that I also like about Framer is, again, yeah, it lets you design a lot closer to the way that things are basically being built. So especially if you're yeah, if you're building, different toggles or buttons, you can use the smart components to build them exactly the same way that they'd be built in React, Angular, like whatever way that your developers are working in.
Yeah.
We aren't going to, so we mentioned this before, you can code completely in Framer, but we're not going to show any code today. We're going to be just focusing on the no-code solutions. But there's a lot of information online if you want to code in Framer, if you want to learn how.
Also, you're doing a session.
Oh, I will be doing a session actually on code next week.
Yeah.
We'll have more information about that. But if you follow us on Twitter on Framer, you'll find more information about that.
Yeah. Cool. Should we go to the next?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Transitions. Okay, so yeah, this is our last tools of the day. So again, in talking about making things interactive, of course we animate between how button states work and their visual variants, but we can also customize how objects move across different screens and how one screen transitions into the next. So we have a few different transition options, and I'll just go through them all so you can see kind of what we can create with our, with interactions in Framer. So first transition type I'll show is just our overlay. So this is great for doing things like navigations that slide out from one side or menus that are sliding out. So we can just use this as our menu. This one. And we're going to say that these three lines are like the menu icon, so we can just connect it to our overlay over here. So I'm just going to use our little lightning bolt connector, and we get our little noodle arrow. And then we can just connect it to the overlay. Once I do that, you'll see there's this interaction panel where you can choose from all the different types of animations that this layer will do. And in this case, I'm going to choose overlay. Once I click overlay, a few more options will drop down. So I can, again, choose like how this will animate over. But the main thing I want to focus on is the direction. So you can say where this panel is going to slide in from or slide up from. In this case, I want it to slide this way. And yeah, have it slide from the left. I'm bad at left to right. And you can also choose what the backdrop looks like, and I'll preview so you can see all of that. Starting from here, if I just click my menu icon, you'll see that menu just slides up from the side, and the background over here gets a bit darker, and that's what we can customize by using the backdrop option. And then automatically built for you is the fact that if I just click outside of this menu, it will automatically close. So you just have this full interaction just by connecting one layer to the next. Next, we have our scroll connected. We can do a
Let's do the modal.
Okay.
Maybe.
We'll do the modal. So kind of similar to overlay is the modal interaction. So similar in the sense that like you're connecting one screen to a layer that's slightly smaller so you can still see the backdrop. And in this case, we'll do a modal, so that will just pop up in the center. So to connect this, we'll go from this button. It's locked. We'll just go from the screen. So we can go to the modal here. Again, we'll have this list of options, and we can select modal. Again, we'll have this animation panel where we can customize that, but we also have the option to customize the backdrop. This time I'll change it a bit just so you can see what that looks like. And if we preview, I'll have this modal that pops up automatically. And just like the overlay, if I click anywhere outside of the modal, it'll close automatically. And you can also see this really colorful backdrop that I chose. Another type of transition type that we have is magic motion. So magic motion is kind of the way to get the most custom types of transitions, really fine-tuning how an object will move from one screen to the next. So in this case, we can do kind of simulating a detail view of this feed, and I'll choose magic. And here, again, we can fully customize everything, and we'll have it be able to preview down here. Just do magic, and then we can preview from here because again, this is my scrollable content. And if I click on the card, it just pops up. Oh, I still have my modal set. I'll unselect that. And to remove an interaction, you can see up here in the top right-hand corner, you can just exit that and it will be removed. There we go. And then it will just slide up.
Magic Motion is super cool. I saw Joanna mentioning this. Yeah, it's basically just like auto animate.
Yeah.
So you can animate anything from position A to position B, but it also does more than just position. You can do sizing, styles. Again, you can change colors, rotation, really any property in Framer. You can animate between A and B just by designing how it looks before and how it should look after. And Framer takes care of the rest.
Yes.
That's why we called it magic, because it's truly magical.
So magic. And there's a few more transition types, like more basic ones like instant or push, which it will push the whole page from one direction, as well as fade, which one screen will fade into the next, and then flip, which one screen will flip into the next. And I can just show an example of that. I'll just flip it around for you. Yeah, I think that's all our transition types. And yeah, we'll give a few minutes to play around with that. And if there's some questions.
Yeah, so the noodle that we've been using across all of them is this little lightning prototyping connector. If you see this little connector, that means you can add an interaction to it. So again, like a tap, a hover, etc. And you can basically just connect it to where you want to go and then choose from the list of everything. I'll give a sneak preview. We won't have time to cover it just yet, but if you are using like a screen, so if you have the timeline selected, well, you can also add interactions to anything in the panel up here on the right. But we also do have native key and gamepad as well. So if you are prototyping anything for non-traditional devices, whether that's a game controller or your keyboard, you can also go ahead and select this and maybe select a key on your keyboard. It also accepts modifiers. So if I press maybe Command D, we can say go to the detail on view. And we can also do a magic motion transition. So on my prototype, if I now press Command D, you'll see that that will fire the magic motion transition. And you can already start to think about things like smart components in different states. So you can do like focus and blur states and create, non-traditional devices and prototypes really easily. Mm-hmm. Give it a shot, prototype and preview it, and let us know if there's any questions that come up. Otherwise, we will move on to the design challenge and also give a little bit of time for Q&A as well. Elmo does love noodles. That is true. I also love noodles.
Who doesn't?
So we do have a sign-in with login and password. You have the option to log in with Google, but also I think create an account if I'm not mistaken. Option to record the animations or interactions. So yeah, you can explain.
You can send your this kind of preview view to anyone. They don't necessarily have to have a Framer account. You can copy this link up here in the top right when you're previewing, and yeah, just send this to everyone, share it to anyone, and they'll be able to fully interact with it here and see all the interactions that you've created.
What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta.
You didn't even let me think. Can you export as HTML?
We do have that feature in beta, but it does not include offline usage right now because it still pulls the assets from our servers. But you can export to HTML, but it only is available for pro or enterprise accounts. But that being said, that's kind of a good segue. We have some giveaways for everybody who's joining us today, but it is going to come in the form of a design challenge. And we're a little bit new to the Design Buddies community, but we've heard that everyone here loves challenges and loves design challenges. So we're really excited to give everyone the briefing and a little bit more information about what to do, where you can find all this stuff, and how you can submit your projects so you can maybe win a Framer Pro subscription.
Yeah, so we'll give away 10 Framer Pro subscriptions for 3 months. And yeah, basically the challenge is to learn, to use the skills you learned today. And here are the rules. So we wanted to give kind of a theme, so related to things you all know and love. So either creating an app or can be website, any screen size you prefer. And that app or website should help accomplish a task related to design, community, or of course, bunnies is an acceptable theme as well. In addition, your project should have at least 3 screens. So again, with the screen tool, just 3 separate screens. And it should include at least 5 assets. And by assets, we just mean basically anything from the insert menu. So we gave a few example starter assets here for you can drag and drop these if you want to get started, but also just anything from the insert menu is considered an acceptable asset. And then in between your screens, or going back to one screen, have at least 3 different interactions. So using those different transition types. And then finally, the last requirement is to create and add 1 smart component with some interactions to your project as well.
A few other mentions that I think will be really helpful. I would definitely recommend going ahead and creating a brand new project as you go ahead and do this. So you can do it right from the dashboard. You can also head to the menu and go File, New, and you can create a new project. Give it a really cool name, give it a creative name. And when you're ready, we've recently just launched a new section of our website. We'll also link this in just a second, but it's called framer.com/showcase. You can submit and also explore a bunch of work submitted by our community. This is also linked up to your account when you're logged in. So you'll find your project right from the list after you click on this main card right here to showcase your work. So, and this is also a requirement in order to enter the design challenge. If you go ahead and create your project, upload it to Showcase, but also make sure you share it in the Discord for Framer Prototyping Challenge in the Design Buddies Discord. That way we know that the submission is linked up to someone who was in this webinar, and we'll basically make sure that we go through and
find all the submissions.
We'll find the right submission. So what was how many prizes, or what were the prizes again?
So 10 subscriptions. So 10 people can win 3 months of Framer Pro.
Framer Pro lets you use it with your other friends and other colleagues. So you can use more than just the 2 free ones. You can create unlimited projects, and someone mentioned export to HTML. That's also a pro feature as well. There's also a lot of other things as well. So you'll find it there. Last but not least, we will give you bonus points if you can add an Easter egg to your prototype or your project.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what an Easter egg is, kind of something in software development, in apps a lot included these days. It's basically a hidden feature that you access by performing a specific step or a specific series of steps. So I just wanted to give an example and see if you can be creative with your project to try to add an Easter egg. So I just made this one real quick. Just at first glance, this is just a basic website. It doesn't look like there's anything you should be able to do besides scroll and just look at this Creative Studio website. But as a hidden feature, if you happen to click this big circle here, you will get confetti raining down the screen. And it's just something you wouldn't know is there unless you just randomly happen to click on this circle.
So if you can add an Easter egg and we are able to find it easily enough, we'll give you some bonus points.
Yeah, you'll be bumped up on the list of winners.
So definitely give it a shot. I think though for the last couple minutes, we can open it up for a quick Q&A. A quick recap again for the design challenge. You'll find it in the file that we shared originally. You'll find a bunch of assets and examples of kind of what we're looking for. But again, I would definitely start a new project. You can go to File, New, submit it to Community Showcase, framer.com/showcase. And also make sure you share your showcase link. Once you post it here, you'll find something, you'll find it here. And just share this link with us, the framer.com/showcase/project ID, and you'll be entered to win.
Yes.
Awesome. Before we do questions, let's do a group photo.
Yeah.
First, I'll give it a few moments. It'll be really quick. We're going to do a static one first, and then a wave one that we do for our Instagram story. So just take a minute. The deadline is in 10 days. So it would be, I have it in the, all the information for the challenge is on Discord. I will also link the starter file so you have access to all the assets as well when over in this workshop. So it's in the Framer Prototyping Challenge. And if you are just entering Design Buddies Discord and you can't see our 50 channels, that means you need to head to Roles Verify here to get the verified roles so you have access to it all. We do this to prevent bots and stuff, but that's why. But we've unlocked the Framer Prototyping Challenge, so it's easy for y'all in this workshop or new to Design Buddies to see. So I'll just count down for all of y'all to turn your camera if you wish, if you want. And then, yeah, so we're gonna do a photo. If you could stop screen sharing for a bit, I can do the photo. I'll count down 10 seconds. Feel free to grab any objects you want. We have like a bear, a bunny. If you have any, like, I have a mug too. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a count down 10 seconds for everyone to grab an object and then run the Q&A. But make sure to join Discord because you'll find all the information, all the links you need. And the deadline is Sunday, August 8th at 11:59 Pacific time. So you have end of the weekend to do it in about 10 days. So 10 days from now, make sure to do it early. We don't want you to procrastinate, and definitely share your creations on Discord so y'all can see, and just like comment and support each other's. So make sure to submit on Showcase and submit your Showcase link into Discord, so we know you're from Design Buddies, because if you just post on Showcase, we don't really know where you're from. So make sure to post on Discord as well. So that's the channel that we'll be checking. And with that, I will do the photo. I'll count down 10 seconds, 10, 9, 8. So the first is the photo, the static one, and the second one is the wave. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. There's multiple pages, so just stay smiling. 3, 2, 1. Say fluffle.
Fluffle.
Fluffle. All right, say fluffle, everyone.
Fluffle.
All right, we're gonna do a wave, so feel free to like wave, dance, dab, whatever you want. And this is for our Instagram story. All right, you can wave. All right, let me make sure it's on. Hello, buddies. We just had a wonderful workshop with Framer, learning how to make interactive designs and prototype. Make sure you submit in this channel, Framer Prototyping Challenge, on Discord and on Showcase in order to be qualified. So thank you all, buddies. Cool. So now we can do the Q&A. But yeah, I'm going to post this on the Instagram story. Let us know if you want us to like tag anyone too.
I do also just want to mention as well, with the Showcase, you are all joining us at a really exciting time because we just launched Showcase. So outside of Design Buddies, we're also running a challenge that also ends, I think, around the same time. But the most liked project on Framer Showcase gets the ultimate Framer pack. So we're giving out shirts, stickers, a bunch of swag. So after you submit it and give it to Discord, make sure you share it with all your friends and family, and everyone smash that like button because you'll win some really cool stuff.
Like and subscribe, turn on notifications.
Exactly.
Okay, we have 7 minutes.
Hit us with any questions that you have. We're happy to answer them.
Yeah, also if we don't get to it, you can bug us on Discord or social media.
Can you prototype rotation of phone to show landscape responsiveness? You definitely can. Yeah, so it only works if you're viewing it on your mobile device, because that's the only thing that has the gyro to know if it's turned or not. But yeah, you can definitely do that.
Version history.
Version history, not right now, but we are planning that in the future. So hang tight, follow us on Twitter, and hopefully you'll see some news soon. Can you chain multiple animations? Yeah, you can. You'll have to use the appear trigger. So basically, as soon as something appears, then you'll do something else, and you'll probably want to pair that with the delay property as well, so you can time it out properly. It is free to use as well.
Yes. Social icons.
I'm not sure if there's any built into the tool, but you can just drag and drop, or if you just copy an image online.
Yeah, or even if you search in the insert menu, you might find, a hidden component that maybe we don't even know about.
Yeah, SVGs also will work too, so feel free to just drag and drop them, export them from Adobe. Or if you just copy an SVG also in code or from somewhere else, it should also paste. Should paste fine.
Back to work. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, if there's no more questions or if you're shy to ask it here, feel free to bug us on the interwebs. I think you should probably have our stuff somewhere, and feel free to just shoot us a DM or.
Yeah. Also, you can come find the Framer Discord, where we have our community is also a Discord community, so you can find us there as well.
Yeah, feel free to drop the link in the chat if you want.
Oh yeah,
I can put it in here.
But we'll love to see all your creations, and also feel free to post it on social media, tagging Framer and Design Buddies. We'll be happy to retweet it, share it on our stories, so we give you more visibility, so you can tell other people and more buddies to like your post too on Framer Showcase.
Cool. I think that might be it then. We just want to give a big thank you for everybody for attending. Thank you so much, Design Buddies, for having us. I had a lot of fun.
Did me too. This
awesome.
was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for the workshop. It was great. I really enjoyed learning more about Framer, and there's so many capabilities that it has with prototyping.
Yeah,
it hits limitations on Figma.
Yeah.
And
it's really crazy because our Framer itself has been 5 different tools in the past, and now we're finally the most user-friendly version, and I feel like sometimes a lot of people don't even know what you can do. So yeah, it's fun to just spread the news.
Yeah, it's no code friendly as well, because I know sometimes it's sometimes a blocker for designers to learn code. So I'm really glad for that option too.
Yeah, we're finally the most no code friendly we've ever been. Very exciting times.
Yeah. Cool. If there's no more questions, the host could stay 3 minutes for a quick retro. Otherwise, we can say goodbye to our YouTube buddies. I'm gonna stop streaming. So
bye, YouTube buddies.